of the freeway right now. You can see these two gentlemen are working to get this boat in the eastbound lanes of I-10, presumably to reach her.
Well, I wonder why the other boat is not able to reach her. I suppose we're not there. We don't completely understand why they're not able to reach her, but perhaps this boat can because they're on the opposite side of that current. They don't have to fight it.
Fight against it. And I'm thinking maybe, too, that they're concerned if they go too fast toward her, that they might rush her over, like the water might go over her head. I don't know. I mean, I wish I could say I was a boat captain.
When you were hearing from some of the eyewitnesses some of the eyewitnesses we spoke with off camera were saying that from their understanding that she is very distraught. So might not be necessarily processing what's unfolding right before her.
Well, it's great that there are two boats there making an attempt to rescue her, and I'm sure they are going to, we're going to stay with it, obviously, but I certainly feel like they're going to figure it out with her right in front of their face. Again, it seems like every day at this time of day, one of the challenges, too, we're looking at is you want to get the rescue done before the sun goes down.
Right.
And I can see that it's still light out, but we don't have a lot of time before the sun goes down, so they want to figure it out before that happens.
Absolutely. And Stephen, I think you may have discussed this before, but I was just wondering, how did she even end up there? Did she decide to go for a walk, or did she drive her vehicle into that area?
Art, simply, we don't know the answer to that question right now. The eyewitnesses who are out here, and there are hundreds at this point looking on here on the east side of the waterway, are looking on. No one seems to know the answer to that question.
You know, another observation.
How exactly she ended up in that.
Another observation the producer pointed out, Steve, I'm sorry, is that there could be boats that are preventing, cars below the boat, keeping the boat from going any farther.
Yeah.
Because you never know how many.
That's actually a fantastic observation because you see a box truck. You see a box truck that's almost, it looks like the cabin of that box truck is covered. So with the cabin of a box truck being covered, you would assume that water could be covering cars there as well.
It looks like that other boat is getting pretty close to her, which is a good thing, but still not approaching her. They must be able to see something under that water that prevents them from going forward. You know, and you have an engine, of course. They probably have one of those 200 horsepower engines on the back end of that little boat, or 100 horsepower, and that engine drops at least 1.5 feet or 2 feet. And so as a result of that, you know, you're going to be hitting anything on the underneath. So perhaps they're watching out for that. But you're right, Steve. Look at that Valero gas station. Those signs are so high.
How high the water is.
And just to speculate, Art and Gina, at this point, as to where she might have been, whether she was in a car or something like that, to the north of the freeway, there's a motel. There's also apartments and homes there. So quite honestly, it would be difficult to see where exactly at this point how she ended up there.
Yeah.
You know, and including our news crews here at the station, but certainly I can see the case is true with these the folks on the boats there. A lot of people just don't walk around with vests, life preserver vests, and you know, you would like to think people have them on boats, but a lot of boats got called into action, and I'm seeing that, you know, I don't see, it looks like the boat that was out there first, some of those folks have on life vests, but the boat now approaching her, they don't, so there's not the option necessarily of throwing her out a life vest, which is one of the options normally you might want to take advantage of.
Those two gentlemen on that boat that just got in the water, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to them before they got out there, but they look like just two average citizens.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They're obviously not affiliated with any kind of law enforcement agency. They just look like two people out here with a boat who just backed up their truck and unloaded it.
Is the other boat affiliated with, are they from a local agency, or are they just volunteers?
Chris, can you see that from your vantage point, whether or not the first boat is with any law enforcement agency?
What does that say on the side? I think
BILLYSTIX.
BILLYSTIX. I don't
it looks like that's a regular citizen.
Yeah.
And you know what? The story of this.
It looks like this is Houston again. Just perfect strangers out here trying to help this woman out.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But they do have I saw the person have a life. She does.
They do on that boat.
They have a life vest.
It's the second boat. I mean, it's really the story of this, I think, when all is said and done, is going to be how many people there were like this who saved thousands of people. There's no way to tax all of us citizens enough to get a official type at every scene over thousands of miles where there's been flooding. And so people like this, we really depend on them to help save our friends and neighbors.
The numbers are astronomical when you start speaking about those evacuations or rescues. Well, they just threw her a line. I just saw a line being thrown to her from that opposite side. So let's see what happens.
She's got a hold of it.
She's got a hold of it.
Steve, we're going to turn it over to you.
She's coming to the side, and there it is. Looks like she's been rescued. They just bumped into something.
It looks like that gentleman who is pulling her onto that boat right now as we speak.
Wow.
There you go.
Grabbing her.
They jumped right into action.
With no life vest on, she's heavy because she's wet. I don't know how much she weighs, but she's heavy because she's wet. And he reached right over there and grabbed her by her shirt and pulled her on up to safety. Not knowing what's below that, as you said, that could be hitting his boat. Amazing.
Wait a minute. She just jumped back in.
She jumped back in. My photographer is saying that she just jumped back in.
Okay, she just jumped back in. This is clearly someone who does not want to be rescued.
Interesting that she jumped back in.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
I don't
that
understand
coincides
that,
with what
but
eyewitnesses
you saw
were telling
her
us
just
out here,
jump
that she
back
was distraught.
That she was so distraught.
You know what?
She may have a mental health problem because
I think that's who we're dealing with, Steve.
This breaks your heart because obviously she was not comfortable hanging onto the wall. That was obvious.
But she was laying down. She was perfectly safe. There was no reason for her to get off the edge again. But she clearly has other issues, I think, that we're dealing with here, because even a person in shock would not do that. It would just,
there's something else going
on the boat. There's something else.
And you don't know what other kind of losses and how people react to the other losses they have sustained because of this. She seems like she's walking though now, right?
At this point, she's being able to stand.
To walk, yes.
So I'm not sure if they got her a little bit closer.
Yeah.
More shallow land there.
It's difficult when you're dealing with someone who simply, at least at this point, does not want to be rescued. But, Stephen, we're going to walk away from this because we have other
something we've not seen
video
before
to get to. Yeah. Of all the rescues we have seen, which have been into the tens of thousands.
I was going to say.